Hi, I'm Manuel Rode, one of 4 brothers running Rode. As a family company, we've been building kilns for over 40 years, focused on helping potters get the best results. That's why we're bringing Rode kilns to the US. Visit us at rodekilns.com or follow Rode USA on Instagram. Rode, enjoy your results. And now, enjoy the episode.
This episode is sponsored by Monkey Stuff. Monkey Stuff makes things for makers. We're inspired every day by the craft and creativity of makers and design and manufacture tools and accessories to try to make your making life a bit more delightful. Our products are designed in California, by makers and for makers, and manufactured in the USA. Check out our line of pottery accessories and tools at monkeystuff.com. Follow us on Instagram to see what we're up to in our studios, and keep on making great things.
Hey, this is Erin with Cornell Studio Supply, located in the gem city of Dayton, Ohio. As a proud sponsor of this episode, we are happy to celebrate 50 years of providing the best customer service and world-class workshops. Visit cornellstudiosupply.com for all your pottery and ceramic sculpture needs. At Cornell Studio Supply, we are owned and operated for potters, by potters.
Hello, my name is Kathy King, and welcome to the For Flux Sake podcast. I'm coming to you from the Harvard Ceramics program in our fair city, Allston, Massachusetts. I'm here with Rose and Matt Katz of the world-famous Ceramic Materials Workshop, and they are ready to answer your burning questions about clay and glaze. Well, hello, Matt and Rose.
Hey, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Now, our listeners cannot see the awesomeness that I'm holding up to the screen, but as you know, I've been asked to beta test some wear glaze materials, and I went through the process. I mentioned it in another episode. Had so much fun going through the names. I have to admit that the color I did get was based on the name, which is Cardinal Sin.
Yes.
It's like you made it for me, you know?
Well, yeah, we'll do that for you, Kathy. Although, man, you cost me because Kathy is in our beta tester program. So Kathy has had early access to wear. And, with beta testers, we're obviously they're doing us a favor, and they're testing out our batching system, which we got to talk about. But part of wear is that you're designing the glaze. And so it's literally completely custom. And part of that is designing the color. And one of the cool things that we built into it is that all of the pricing is dynamic. So the price that you pay depends on the materials in your glaze. And literally, because it's all software, it's doing that calculation. And Kathy literally picked the most expensive glaze she could.
Of course I did. Because I'm worth it, Matt. I'm worth it.
Yes. Isn't that like a makeup tagline? I'm worth it.
I feel so proud of myself that you said that just now, because I really was trying to find the most expensive one. But there are so many choices. I mean, it's endless. There are a gazillion reds and a gazillion blue with all these fabulous names. And then you get this little, I didn't even think this was the glaze coming to me because it was a small package, and you take it out and everything's shrink. It's not shrink. Vacuum sealed. So it's a really small package. And then you even give me the label that I can put on my bucket or my container that tells me what it is, how much water to put in. And then it has a QR code in case I want to reorder it. It's like stupid.
And get all the information on it on the website. There's SDSs for your glaze. You can adjust your water content. We've really thought this through. And, the one thing I want to emphasize is the vacuum sealed package. I think that this is a huge deal, because one of the things, besides the fact that we're making these things custom, of how much of what you're buying with glaze is water and a bottle. And that takes up volume and it costs money. Water is heavy and you're shipping that, and those bottles are expensive. And like, yeah, we're asking for a sacrifice. We're asking you to mix up the glaze. Now, awesome on that. We have videos on the website where Rose shows you how to mix it, because there's an order to do things, a way to do things. So Rose has recorded videos. So when you buy yours, you can do it. But it's literally, it's like Betty Crocker, is just add water and you can have your own custom glaze. And the packaging is so small. We can fit a bunch of different glaze compositions in just a plain old envelope. In no box, no wasted packing, no peanuts. We ordered some dry material recently that was packed in peanuts. There's nothing. And we've been sending these all over the country and they're all coming out rock solid. It doesn't leak. It doesn't break. There's no water. It can't drip. And so it's exactly like, it is rock solid. And we love that. And then even better, even though Kathy costs us an arm and a leg, it's still cheaper than every other commercial glaze out there, including with shipping.
And I mean, I'm just looking for, I've forever and ever and ever have just taken a clear glaze and then I mix, 500 grams in different containers, and then I color them with different stains. And I've done that, for 20 odd years. But I think, so I kind of have a sense of like what my palette is. And this is going to be so nice because I can still like stay within my palette. Because it's like, if I've ever thought like, oh, screw it, I just want to, I'll get some commercial stuff. I can't get the same hues. I mean, bless the companies that do this. They have so many choices, but sometimes you just know what your color scheme is. And this is nice to pick it up.
I got you even beat, because I'm still adding in features because it's software. We can do it. What I just added, which will be there on launch for everybody, is that it shows you color palettes. So it shows you different color combinations that work together. Like if you're literally just trying to make aesthetic decisions, like, well, I want the inside to be one color and I want the outside to be a different color. It'll auto tell you what is the color that works with it, and it'll make that glaze for you. And you can literally get those combinations.
Adversely, it'd be funny if it just said like, that is terrible. Like that combination, please don't.
You have terrible color design.
Or you could do like, how you can take a test and like Cosmopolitan, like what your season is, color wise. Like I'm in autumn. What's my autumn palette, Matt?
Here at Wear Glaze, we were taught, Rose and I met through one of our professors, John Gill, and John Gill had his color theory, which is all colors go together. Some just have to work harder.
Mm-hmm. I love that to this day.
That is a good one. So while I'm still beta testing for our listeners, when is this going to be available?
So this is coming really soon, but here's the deal, y'all. You need to get on our mailing list if you want to get into Wear. We are going to do a slow roll as to allowing people in. And we have already got over 1,000 people on the waiting list. So you need to get on it now if you want early access, because we want to make sure everything works smoothly and everything gets going. So if you get on our mailing list, we're going to let people in batches starting in July. So now. And so you have to get on that mailing list to get access to Wear. And once you're in, you're in. It'll go wide public eventually, but we don't have that date, but we're going to start opening it up in July.
And it's an app you can find on the Google Store, Apple Store, wherever you find apps. And it's a website.
Wearglaze.com.
All right. Well, let's get to it because we have a really special episode today. As some of you know, when Matt and Rose were at NCECA, our National Clay Conference, this past March, we brought a magic phone, and the phone was old school. So the youngins didn't even know what the heck this thing was, but it was like a rotary phone that you could pick up, and then it would record you if you asked a question. It was really fun because we were like, had it at your booth, and then I would grab it and bring it over to the Harvard Ceramics booth for a while. It was really, really fun. So we have some questions from that endeavor to answer today. So we're going. I know, right? It was fun doing this. I really love this phone thing. Anywho, so our first question is about waxing your bottom.
Hey, Matt, Kathy, Rose. I'm loving this hotline at NCECA in Detroit. I'm curious now about my waxing. I wax the bottoms of my bisqueware before I glaze it. I use candles. I melt old candles in an old frying pan, and that's how I do it. Is this a dangerous process? Are there other things I should be careful of? Thanks for your help. Have a great conference. Bye.
Well, apparently we need a better service plan for our phone.
I mean, there was what? How many people at NCECA? Like,
only 7. It was 7,000 actually.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, it was the biggest one ever. I didn't catch all that. What does she use when she's
used candles?
Oh, candles? What?
Mm-hmm.
Hot wax.
Hot wax.
No. She said she's using paraffin. She said she's using it in a frying pan.
Oh.
Gosh, that seems dangerous.
Well, there is precedent. I will say one of my mentors, Todd Wallstrom, he kept an electric skillet around, like, one of the ones you take camping, and it was dedicated. The bottom of it was full of wax, and he would turn it on and melt the wax, and he would just dip into the hot wax. So I've definitely seen it before. I mean, potters do it. I mean, producer Ben, you make pots.
Caustic painters, have that kind of setup. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. No, I've done plenty of it, always with the electric skillet. And the hack that we always did is that you get a little mesh that sits down into the wax so that it keeps it at exactly the same. And when I was a production potter, we would just stick the piece down, go on to the next one, go on to the next one, go on to the next one.
Oh.
Yes.
That's a hot tip.
And is it much better in quality than, say, just the bottled wax?
It is until it catches on fire.
Oh, excellent. Good.
Oh,
well, that's important.
Yeah. Wax fire. That's always fun to put out.
I mean, I would say the quality is different. I don't know if it's better or worse because the paraffin is thicker. I've always
liked the paraffin dip over painting the resist on. Like the resist, I always get bubbles and like streaks from the paintbrush, and then your paintbrush is ruined. So I always like the hot stuff.
My problem with using wax.
I mean, look at who you're married to, right? Am I right?
You are right, Kat.
What I never liked about the cold wax is I could never get a sharp line, like because we talk about brushing glazes and getting a full brush stroke like that. The load of wax in the brush would always run out and it wouldn't be clean. But if you can dip it like that, I assume you get a very hard line.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. The wax resist bottle was always like gunky and like the lid.
Yeah, I know it is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard.
Yeah.
So did we answer the actual question? I guess the question was, is there a better way? I mean, I like Ben's suggestion.
Yeah, I like that mesh one. But I mean, is it dangerous? I mean, it could be. Yeah.
I think so. Catching on fire, as Ben is saying, that definitely can happen. Paraffin wax can be combustible if overheated. So I think like those electric skillets, they have a temperature control, but I would assume you could take it up to a smoke point. And so maybe you might want to investigate the smoke points and the combustion points of the wax that you're using. Like I literally don't know what kind of wax is out there. But I would assume the lower temperature, it might be more susceptible. So that might be worth looking at it with anything electrical. Like, yeah, be careful. like for fire, I would go back to, I don't know anything about, the skillets per se, but, going back to, people being afraid of kiln fires don't happen because of the kilns. Kiln fires happen because of the wiring of the kilns that you'll get sparking from the electrical connections, but it's not like the elements burst into flames or something like that. That's not what happens. So I would assume that somewhere in between wax the burning temperatures and a less than ideal pan.
Yeah, but it seems like a good quality electric one. You can set it and, figure out what the perfect setting is and not have to worry about it, right?
And they probably have timers.
Yeah, and I think people should treat it like cooking. Like you don't cook and walk away for an hour the same way you don't like turn on this electric.
You don't? What do you stare at your Thanksgiving turkey the whole time it's cooking?
I cook it with my mind.
Mind. Nice.
What happened to set it and forget it? Man.
Well, see, that's the fire danger is if you forget it too long, what eventually happens is that as the wax gets lower and lower, the fire danger is the most when the wax is the lowest in the pan. And it I think has to because it reaches the smoke point faster and therefore catches on fire. So I think you just have to like mind it. Treat it like you're boiling pasta. How about that? No one walks away from pasta, right, Kathy?
I might. I don't know. I don't know what I was doing that day. So let's move on to our next question. Liz from Providence, Rhode Island stopped by the booth and had a question about refiring pots.
Hey, my name is Liz Welch, and I run a community ceramic studio in Providence, Rhode Island, and a lot of our students want to refire their pots when they're unhappy with the first firing. What is the deal? Is it worth it? Does it actually improve things? If it's already turned to glass, how can they add more glaze? I just need like a party line to tell my students, is it worth it? Is it not? Thanks so much.
I mean, Kathy, you're the one who's making pots. I mean, when we're doing glaze tests, you never refire anything. You get the result that you get. And we're perfect anyway, so we don't have to worry about it. It works well for us.
Oh, hold on. I think I just peed my pants.
But Kathy, do you refire a lot?
Never. No. And Ben knows, like people who run community studios, we're not fans of refiring pots because the comments or the requests rather come more from, it didn't come out the pot of my dreams rather than there's something actually wrong or there's something that could be improved by refiring. All the refire, like we'll do refires for a additional cost for Cone 10, but I hardly see a difference. There are those occasions where maybe there's a bare spot from some wax that got onto the piece and, we might run that through again. But, and that'll make it look better. That's about the extent though. Not my personal work though, because I'm perfect.
Exactly.
See, now that's actual perfect. I'm just kidding but Kathy is actually perfect.
Ben, what do you do?
Oh, I refire all the time in my own personal studio.
Hey, potty mouth.
Oh, sorry.
Producer Ben has to bleep himself. This is the family
isn't
show.
Flux you, Ben. This is a for Flux Sake
Man,
episode.
I have a reputation.
Sorry. But I refire it in a similar way as I get rid of pinholes, which is that I'm realizing this sounds dangerous as I'm going to explain it. But I put the piece in a kiln, heat it up till it's about 195 is about right. Then I grab it with a bare hand and then just submerge it again.
A whole application.
Whole application has to be a whole application. I've never been able to do it correctly just trying to get glaze on a pinhole or something like that. But at the studio, we do allow people to do it, but I help them do it.
Huh.
Do you do that process in your studio too?
Yeah.
You're like,
Wow.
okay, here you go, Mary. We're going to pull this out at 195. You're going to hold it and then you're going to dunk it in the glaze.
I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. Any of our people listening to this, that's crazy. We're not doing that at Harvard Ceramics. That's crazy.
It's not wrong. I'm not saying it's safe. Wrong. And everybody should chastise Ben. What a terrible.
Exactly.
You never should say this to the
terrible
public.
Person. Yeah. He swears like a sailor too, I've heard.
Yeah.
Ben, we recently got a comment that for Flux Sake is too bawdy, and that they're going to go and listen to Tales of Red Clay Rambler because everyone there is kind and not nasty. Well, here you go, everybody. That's Ben Carter from Tales of Red Clay Rambler. Potty mouth.
I think it's you. I think you're the one who like pushes it.
It's not wrong. First, I mean, just for the application part, actually, it is very smart. Once again, you can't get glaze to stick to a piece that's been fired up to temperature because glazes dry through capillary suction. Once it is bisqued, there are no capillaries to have suction. So then you have to do it through evaporation, which means you're either waiting for room temperature evaporation, which takes forever, or you're forcing the issue by basically taking the piece up to the boiling temperature of water, which is 212 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Celsius. So 195, you're pretty close. And that just means that as soon as the wet glaze hits the piece, the water gets driven off, which is how they do it industrially. They will reglaze stuff industrially and literally.
Oh my God, that's terrifying when they do that.
Yeah, they have a bank of blow torches on the glaze line conveyor belt. Fiestaware does this. But they will do the same thing. They will reglaze the entire piece, but exactly what Ben said. You have to glaze the entire piece. And as Kathy is saying, it's really only for bad flaws that the pot could be recoverable. Conceptually, it works, but here's the big but covered in wax, which is, stop wasting your time. The vast majority of the time, it's not going to do much. And most of the flaws that people are hoping to recover from, you're not going to fix it. You're not going to fix crawling, ever.
Crazing's still going to come back.
Crazing is going to come back. Pinholing, the one Ben was saying of like what people will try to do is that they'll try to dot glaze inside of a pinhole. Well, there's a couple of problems. One, why did the pinholing happen? Which we've talked about on the show. That's a long conversation. But let's just say it is four-part conversation, but let's just say it's the one where it's air bubbles. Okay. If it was air bubbles and you try to pack glaze in there, when that glaze melts, all of that negative space in glaze application is between 30 to 50% negative space. It's just going to collapse and it's not going to fill up the spot the same way, which is why an entire glaze coating can sort of melt down and cover things a little bit better. But I have to say the thing of when I have taught studio classes, my answer has always been like, just make it again. You made it once. Just make it again. That's just refining your skill and showing that you can do it and that you're getting better at things. But it's, as Kathy said, it's not going to give you some magic new chemical reaction. It's not going to make the pot prettier. I definitely would not let them put on a new layer of glaze. That's not what Ben is saying of like basically a thin, quick coating just to even out the coating. But no, you're not going to make your chemical reactions any better from refiring. And some of the flaws, like this 4 levels of pinholing, some of them will actually get much worse. If it's blistering, which you get from iron, and copper, or pitting, which you get from titanium, those could very likely get worse when you refire because those bubbles are coming from decomposition, which swell and pop. Well, when you refire, they're just going to keep swelling and popping. They're not all just going to heal. They could get bigger or ones that
uglier.
Yeah. Or the ones that didn't evolve in the first firing will evolve in the second firing, and then you're just up the creek. So you're probably just wasting kiln space.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Rosenfield Collection of Functional Ceramic Art. The collection exists as an online source for research and inspiration, featuring photos of thousands of objects made by over 800 artists. The images are high quality and can be used with no permission required. To find out more, visit www.rosenfieldcollection.com.
Glazes don't make sense, but that's why Rose and I are here at ceramicmaterialsworkshop.com, helping translate glazes for real ceramicists like you. So join us for our brand new class starting October 1st. It's for everyone from beginners to masters. We clear up all the mysteries of glazes to make them work for you. Join us at ceramicmaterialsworkshop.com for making glazes make sense.
Okie dokie. Well, let's go on to our next question. And David from Chicago, Illinois, came by and had a question about brushing glazes and particle packing.
Hey, this is David Nasca from Chicago, Illinois. I'm at NCECA 2026 right now, and I got a question about brushing glazes. I do a lot more sculptural work and, prefer applying and mixing brushing glazes, and I'm just wondering if you could talk about proper brushing glaze formulation, especially as it relates to particle packing. I love your discussions about bisporosity. Do you get the same kind of particle packing when it comes to brushing glazes, or is the mechanism a little bit different? Thank you so much. Love the podcast. Love everything you do. All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you, David.
So kind.
Mhm.
What's funny about brushing glazes is
Wait. So here's the thing. So our clay bodies, we know about what makes up our clay bodies, right? And we know what makes up our glazes, right? And you know what the best thing is? They're the same materials.
It's the same stuff. Yeah,
No.
just the proportions are different. Throw in a colorant, throw in an alkaline or flux, but yeah, it's kaolin, feldspar, and silica. They are the same thing. And the funnier one is, for all of the talk between brushing glazes and a dipping glaze, to be clear, it's the same glaze, you guys. There is no difference chemically between a brushing glaze and a dipping glaze. There's nothing that you could do. What there is different is processing and additives. Now, processing is the big one. And this is one that I don't know how much processing commercial glaze companies do. I suspect there is some, which is not necessarily great. I saw a video from inside a commercial glaze company recently that actually showed them milling some stains, which is bad. You don't mill stains, especially the encapsulated stains, but they were showing their mixing process and there was a mill right in the process line, which is not great. I assume they're trying to get homogenization, but don't mill your stains, you guys, especially the encapsulated ones. Or some people call them inclusion. That's a made up name. They're called encapsulated stains. But sometimes they'll mill them. And milling is an interesting process. And probably, Rose, I should let you talk about milling because you've got the most experience with milling glazes.
Oh, yeah. You can get in big trouble if you mill your glazes too far. So what Matt's talking about is ball milling, and they're basically just porcelain jars with alumina balls in them. And then you have a variety of different sizes in them. You add your glaze to it, preferably wet. Dry milling is a mess to clean up. But yeah, you can do it. I would not recommend it. Wet milling. So you put your glaze in there after you've mixed it up, put the cap on, and basically run it on these two rods that spin, and it spins this jar, and it takes the jar and spins it, and the aluminum balls tumble over each other, and it basically, the glaze in between those aluminum balls gets crushed. One thing you do have to be very careful of is over milling, which can easily happen because you're already dealing with fine particles. I mean, your mesh size for all your materials that you're putting into the glaze are already fine. Well, putting them in a ball mill, you're just making them even more fine. Even though you're making it more homogeneous, you're still crushing them, making them smaller. So the one thing to really watch if you're ball milling your glazes is to watch for residue. What we call is a residue on a certain mesh screen, and that tells you if your glaze is mixed or crushed enough to the point where it's homogenized enough, it's mixed well enough, and you'll get a good application of that glaze. And I can't remember our standards for our glaze for tile. Standards. Yeah, it was like 2.3 grams of material on like a 480 mesh screen or something like that. It's crazy.
It's pretty fine.
Yeah, it's very fine. problems you see when you overmill it. You get crawling, you get like this weird kind of chicken skinning sometimes. And yeah, application is kind of haywire.
Well, and the cool thing about milling, what milling does that can be a benefit, is that it just takes your particles and makes them smaller. Now, a lot of people think that this will change the melting temperature. It does not do that at all. What it does is because the particles are smaller, they have to spend less of the firing melting themselves because you have to melt particles into glass. So if they're smaller, that time melting, because we've talked about how melting only happens during the last 100 degrees C, 180 degrees after the firing. That's a really short window. So you can get more effective time out of that window by just making everything smaller so it melts faster. So all the ingredients have more time melting into the sort of homogeneous
and typically
glass.
you see ball milling in industry when you're dealing with a tunnel kiln. Is basically those tunnel kilns. You have a very specific heat up window and the rest is cooling or heat up or cooling. And you have to hit your melting points in this very small window of the kiln in order to get your glaze to work properly. So ball milling is very advantageous in fast fire.
But it's not necessary because, I mean, the question was brushing. So the real thing that's going on with brushing glazes is pretty basic, which is just the additive of CMC, which is carboxymethylcellulose, which is the common brushing agent. The major thing to know about CMC is that it's not a brushing agent. It's actually a water retention agent, and it basically turns your water into a gel. And although you might say, oh, it still flows, there's lots of definitions of gel, but it basically is tying the water in. And so what it's doing is that as you're brushing your glaze onto the surface of your pot, it's not being affected by capillary suction to the same degree, which is why dipping glaze applications dry so fast, because the water gets drawn into the clay body. But because it's essentially now a gel inside the water is a gel, it stays on the surface much longer. And so you can brush and brush and brush and smooth it out. In general, CMC numbers are controversial because some people will say that it needs to be 3 grams per liter of water. I know our staff at the workshop will definitely say that is way too much, and they like 2 grams per liter. And so, yeah, that's basically it. The major things about knowing about CMC is it's best to premix CMC with water and then add that into your glaze. And since everybody's measuring your water, right? Are you all measuring your water? Measure your water. It doesn't make a difference because I don't think Kathy's measuring your water, you guys.
I'm not personally, but my fabulous glaze team
That's
is.
true. That's true. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
Then that'll make that a lot easier. Of course, you do have to watch
David goes back about the particle packing. When you add CMC to it, it doesn't change particle packing at all. Like it's basically just taking your dipping glaze and putting a medium in it. It doesn't change your particle packing necessarily.
Well, it doesn't change the particle packing. What I have noticed working with brushing glazes, and I've yet to figure out how to get a really good metric on it, that those coatings are much less dense, that they are very, very thin because of the way that the CMC spreads around, because you can really put on a layer that is much thinner than you get when you dip, which is why those brushing glazes are going to take 3 layers or 5 layers to really get it adequate, because it's just spreading that coating thin. But it doesn't help with the particle packing per se. The one thing that it does do is because the CMC is actually, it's a sugar, which is why those glazes will often seem tougher after the application before they're fired, because it basically sort of hardens like a hard candy almost when it dries. It doesn't affect the fired properties at all. It's just purely the brushing.
Don't eat it. It's not sugar.
Oh, wow.
It is
I
not.
didn't know
It is not
that.
sugar.
It's sugar? That's.
I mean, it's a really loose definition of sugar, but like it kind of is a type of a sugar.
That is so fascinating. Okay. So our next question was from Cheryl from Detroit, Michigan, where the conference was. And she has a question about bentonite and hard panning.
Hi, this is Cheryl Willard from the Detroit area at NCECA right now, and leaving a message on the wonderful old school blue phone sitting here on the desk. I've heard you guys talk quite a few times about not adding bentonite unless it's absolutely needed if your glaze is hard panning. But my question is if you are at a community studio where you're making a lot of glaze and Some of those glazes, have bentonite put in them that maybe don't need it. What actually happens over time that causes it to be a problem? You guys have alluded to the fact that it's kind of a nightmare after a long time if it's sitting in there, but I haven't really found on the podcast what the results are of leaving it in there, or not leaving it, of having it in there for a long period of time. All right, thank you.
So what do you think?
Well, the bentonite, the great suspenders.
Are they rainbow or stripes?
Oh, rainbow suspend. Oh,
Mork from Orc. Yep.
Nanu. Yeah, so bentonite is a type of clay. The name comes because it came from Benton. I think it's Bentonville, Wyoming. Benton
Really?
something, Wyoming. Yeah.
Huh.
Is a type of volcanic clay. And bentonite's kind of weird because bentonite, we've talked about kaolin before, that kaolin is sort of these wide, flat hexagons that stack on top of each other and slide back and forth, which is why kaolin is what it is. Bentonite is that, but it also swells and expands. So it becomes bigger when you mix it with water, which is where it gets some of its properties. Glazes stay suspended because glazes will have kaolin in them. And those wide, flat particles will actually help to keep a glaze suspended because they've got these basically electrostatic charges that clay particles have a positive side and a negative side, and they can repel each other or attract each other. And that repulsion is what keeps glazes suspended. The problem is that some glazes will not have enough kaolin in them for chemical reasons because it comes with alumina, and you might need to limit the alumina in your glaze for the chemistry. So then the glaze can't stay suspended because all of our materials are rocks. And except for kaolin, rocks don't float in water. I don't care how small they are. Rocks don't float.
Teeny, tiny.
Nope, doesn't matter how teeny.
Even some with water wings on.
Okay, producer Ben, we need to get our designer, Jenny. We don't give her enough credit. You guys aren't giving her enough love.
She is awesome.
All of our graphics are coming from our designer, Jenny. These are all drawn by Jenny. Jenny needs to get a rock with water wings for this episode. That is the graphic.
Awesome.
So, no, they don't. What's the line from Monty Python and the Holy Grail? What also floats in water? Tiny rocks.
Witches.
No. Witches, churches, lead. No, they don't float. But kaolin will keep those rocks suspended. It's really cool. But if you don't have enough kaolin, what's the way to do it? And the cool thing is bentonite, which is another chemistry of clay. But what bentonite does is that you only need 2% bentonite to keep those rocks suspended. So you don't need the 10% of kaolin that you need to keep everything suspended. And so, yeah, if you have a glaze that doesn't stay suspended, add in 2% bentonite, it will do fine. Here's all the terms and conditions, though. The first and foremost is you don't add bentonite to a wet glaze. Okay.
Oh, no.
Clump-a-rama.
Yeah. Because it absorbs and swells with that water, it's not going to mix in properly. You can only add in bentonite when you start in the dry materials. Then it will be okay. If your glaze is hard panning and it's already wet, that's where an Epsom salt solution comes in. And that's why people add Epsom salts, because it will help. I don't love the use of Epsom salts. Somebody else can put in an Epsom salt question. Submit that. We'll talk about it. So I'm not going to talk about that now. We'll talk about bentonite. So add it in when it is dry, and then it will be okay. The other thing is just 2% is pretty much the default. Some glazes you can get away with 1%. 3% is not the end of the world. 4%, man, you're going to get pudding. So just 2%. But the other reason why we use bentonite is that 2% basically doesn't change chemistry. Yes, it is a clay and it's made of silicon alumina, but if you keep it at 2%, it doesn't change the chemistry in any way that anyone cares about. Now, like the question is asking, like Cheryl's asking, there are a lot of glaze recipes out there that have bentonite added to them. A lot of the time, it's kind of unnecessary. If your glaze recipe has got 10% kaolin in it, it's gonna be fine. You really should not have a hard panning problem. So 10% or more, you're fine. 5%, you might want to think about a little bit of bentonite. Under 5%, that's when you go for the 2% bentonite by default. But there are so many recipes that just put in bentonite like it is just baseline. Like you have to put in bentonite.
Like candy.
And yeah, like candy. Like I also know that there are books out there that you'll notice that all the glaze recipes have 2% bentonite by default. I honestly think it's because the author just doesn't want to be bothered with y'all's questions about like, oh, this happens to hard pan. So they just put 2% bentonite in it because it's no skin off their nose. You're the one weighing out the bentonite. But it's not bad that it has it, but it might not be beneficial. So I would look at that kaolin level, 10%, you don't need it. Under 10%, you might want to start considering it. Under 5%, you definitely want the 2 grams of bentonite.
She also talks about glazes sitting for long periods of time. I mean, glazes are going to settle. There's not going to be a glaze that's not going to settle. So yeah, just give it a stir. If it hard pans, then, think about the bentonite issue. But if it doesn't, mix it and dip away.
Yeah, that is really true. No matter what, you're going to get some settling. They're still rocks. Even kaolin and bentonite are not going to be perfect. So yeah, always keep, your glaze agitated. And if it sits around for a while, don't just assume that your mixing is going to get it out there. Give it a mix, dump it out and make sure you've gotten everything off the bottom of the bucket and then remix it.
Yeah, it is tricky with some that you think you're hitting the bottom of the bucket, but you're not. You're hitting like that hard pan layer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the worst, the absolute worst. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you everybody who came by the booth and gave us a question. We have more. Hopefully we'll get to revisit this in the future. But once again, thank you. It was a blast. And take care, Matt and Rose.
Thanks, everybody.
See you, Kathy.
Well, folks, that's it for this week's episode of For Flux Sake. I'd like to thank the listeners who submitted questions this week. And if you want your question answered on the show, shoot us an email at forfluxsakepodcast@gmail.com. So join us next time. And when in your studio, remember what Rose always says.
Always remember to test, test, test. This is a test of the emergency glaze system. Beep.
Hi, everyone. If you've been leaning into our glaze deep dives to troubleshoot your studio struggles or just geek out over oxide ratios, we'd love to invite you to join us over on our Patreon.
Think of it as the flux that helps our creative process flow a little more smoothly.
Producing for Flux Sake takes a lot of behind-the-scenes chemistry, from research time to tech costs. By becoming a Patreon member, you're directly helping us keep the show independent and technical.
By supporting us at the $5 a month tier, you get access to our Patreon Flux U bonus episodes, archived for Flux Sake Season 1 and Season 2. And you get priority submission for your questions from the team to answer in future episodes. Oh, and along with exclusive for Flux Sake merch.
We know how quickly the cost of cobalt adds up, so we've kept our tiers accessible. Every bit of support means we can spend more time answering your questions and less time worrying about the business side of things.
So check out our link on our show notes or visit patreon.com and keep the conversation and the kilns firing.